It's raining, but we're going to track. Today's a day you just have to get it done. Dara, in my opinion, is being a bit dramatic. He has a little bag because his running bag got soaked on our balcony. I have to say, if I was watching at home and I seen this rain and Dara's shoes got soaked, actually he's wearing his flats to warm up. I have no shoes. his shoes are soaked, but if I was watching at home I'd probably be like, good, because it's been lovely and sunny. And the problem is it'll rain for like one day in St. Moritz and then it'll be sunny again tomorrow, but enjoy. All right, so don't feel fantastic. Got the warm-up done, probably about 4K. I know when I don't feel great because I don't wear the heart rate strap and I just wear the Timex. So some threshold today and then maybe a little bit of quicker stuff at the end. The purpose of today's video is to talk to you about using the Stryd footpod, like power instead of heart rate. We'll get into that a bit more. Warm-up drills, strides, hopefully some strides will make me feel better. And hopefully it's a good session. We'll check some lactates, I'll show you the heart rate, I'll show you the power, and then you might be able to use it yourself at home. All right, so we're back in the apartment. I'm gonna talk to you quickly about the session. It was very good. To sum it up, I read something last night, I think it was Alan Cousins on Twitter. It was something along the lines of, if you train simply, then it's easy to track progress. Is something working or is something not working? If you don't train simple, as in your training's always changing, how many miles per week, what kind of sessions you do, how on earth could you figure out what's helping you move forward and what's not? That's impossible. So because I've repeated similar patterns, you're getting bored watching 5x2K or 6x2K or work at LT1, work at LT2, work at aerobic power, VO2. But the really cool thing is that if I look back, I do a session like today, we average like 620 to 625 for 2K. You're keeping the lactate at 2, which is LT1. I can go back and look at where that's came from. And I remember a day in Belfast at sea level, not at 6,000 feet, and I was running 640 to 650 and the lactate was higher. So is it working? Yes. That's not really what today's about, but that's fun to see. Then I did those 5-400s at the end, sitting around, I think it was 64 for the first rep, minute rest, 62, 62, 62. Felt really good, way better than how I felt that day in Chiavenna, which I think was just a weird day. I didn't expect to feel like that running 98, 99. I don't want to make excuses, I don't want to bicker. But sometimes the body's tired trying to adjust to higher altitude, and from what we've been told, we should have waited the about maybe now, day 10 or 2 weeks into the cycle before you drop down and expect to feel good at sea level. Or I maybe just had a bad day. It fucking happens. So what I really wanted to go into today, I wanted to talk about the Stryd footpod. I'm not sponsored. They didn't give me it free, paid for it myself. The only reason I'm pushing their product is because I think it's very good. I think it'd be very helpful for some people. I also was a bit rude almost by email, because when I first got it and I tried to sync it to the Garmin, it did connect to the Garmin, but I didn't download their app onto the Garmin, which meant the Garmin power reading was still reading. And I got a little bit rude because I was like, not rude, but blunt. The bluntness was like, this is giving me really silly readings, and I've used the footpod before, so I was like, it was telling me that an easy run was like what threshold power would be. And I was like, it's way off. They then sort of hinted that it might have been that I changed my height or my weight. My then blunt response was, you should be able to change your height and weight. Not height's not going to change, but weight certainly will. So what kind of product wouldn't allow for weight changes? Long story short, I didn't download their app. Had I just bloody downloaded their app to the Garmin, it works perfect. Brilliant. So this is an endorsement of a product for free because it's just bloody good. And they deserve it because I was pretty blunt by email that it wasn't working, and it was working. Why it works really well: heart rate, First of all, not everybody can take lactates. Heart rate can fluctuate quite a lot. Temperature, nutrition, just getting the altitude, all these kind of variables, it can be up and down a little bit. And also you don't get an immediate reading. And what I'm gonna tell you about that is sometimes within a session, for today for example, my heart rate in the first 2Ks probably only got up to maybe 156, 157. Because of experience, I know that by rep 5 that'll be 161, where I want it to be, that max, to stay at LT1. People that aren't experienced with heart rate might panic and push a bit and try to force the heart rate up. It just takes time. Heart rate's useful if you're very experienced using heart rate. Power is like instant. So within 50 meters, 100 meters into the rep, you know already if you're running at the right power. I can't go into too much detail about figuring out your power zones and all this, but when you wear it enough, it starts to work it out for you. How I do it is I literally run at LT1 or LT2 or aerobic power, and then at the end of the session I can have a little look at average power, for example, per rep. So I know for a 2K rep to stay at LT1 I probably need to sit around 380. I haven't even looked at the data yet, and I'll stick it up here and I bet it's around 380. I know that because K's on the track on Tuesday we were sitting around 395, and that was just starting to move into LT2. But with the rep being a bit longer today, well then of course power will come down a little bit. Couldn't recommend it enough. It's really quite useful. Takes a while to get used to it, but then you can start to run uphill at the right effort. So if your tempo loops tend to have rolling hills, it's instant. So you can slow down but stay at maybe 280 power, and the effort stays identical, and you don't get all stressed about pace because you know you're running at the right power. I think it's really, really useful. I think it's a brilliant tool that you could start to add to your armory, you could call it. I'll try to add a longer, maybe 10 to 15 minute breakdown of Stryd to the running school at joggingroom.com. That'll go into a bit more detail and perhaps how I use it, what I would recommend for other people to do, maybe a little test you could do. Instead of like a lactate lab threshold test, you could just progress 2K reps but use the power, and then that's how you could use it in future. Good session today. Things are going really well. I won't be uploading as much YouTube, and I haven't been uploading, as much YouTube because I am going back to work on things in the school. I just added an app. I wanted to make it work within the app so people could get to the track, and maybe if they wanted to do an activation routine, a warm-up routine, the drills, you can just go into the app, A skip, B skip, it's all there, it's super easy. Not everybody has the time to go through 15 to 20 minute activation routine or warm-up routine and then figure out what they need to do as part of that. So I just believe that you should also, I've got better at editing, I've got better at filming, and so it's about time I added a few updates to the school, the marathon plan, the half marathon plan, etc. But I'm doing my best. So hope you enjoyed today. That's power. That was some thresholds, some 400s. I added the 400s at the end because I do like to keep some pace, you could say, in the training. But at altitude, I don't always want to do like a full hard session at that sort of like pace or working a bit. I think the lactate was like 6.4 after the fifth 400 at 62, that's really, really good. But I'm going to leave you there. I need to go eat, and we'll check in again soon.